Yeah.
All right, so let me give you my rules for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Okay, and these will be things that will, kind of save you from the heartache of what Thanksgiving can provide. Because I just don't think that we sort of have the proper principles to pull it off well. And so let me ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
If you're hungry going in, how many times up to the food, how many servings is too much?
Is too much?
Yeah. Can you go 5 times?
No.
2 times?
Yes.
3 times?
Maybe twice and then a third time later that night.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if you take like a small portion and you don't want to overdo it? Can you go back multiple times? Like if I just load up on turkey and I'm done with the turkey, then I go back for the sides?
Yeah, like multiple trips but smaller portions. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we'll say 3 is that magic number. Don't go back to the food more than 3 times, excluding dessert, which dessert comes later anyway.
Yes.
When you're in a stranger's house, do you wear your shoes inside or you take them off?
I feel like gut reaction protocol is take them off.
Take them off.
Yeah, I mean,
Always.
I've been to places before where, we'll bend over to start taking shoes off, and occasionally you'll get don't even worry about it. You guys don't have to do that. But that's typically if you're there
But
briefly.
even if they say that, tough shitski, take them off. Like it's polite that in spite of being courteous on the host side, take your damn shoes off.
I feel like nowadays most people, it's like it's almost like automatic. You come in, you just do it. Maybe not with everyone.
On the bottom of your
guess.
shoes, there's so much bacteria and dirt. Tracking that into someone's house is unfair. Multiply that by 25 people. Just don't do that to people.
Yeah.
I would rather stinky feet than the bacteria that's on the soles of your shoes.
Really?
Totally.
Oh,
all right, so that's number 1, the shoes. What about eating food outside the dining area? If you wander into the living room where there's carpeted places and you're munching on the couch, is that proper?
Again, I feel like it's the setting. It's the setting. I have been to very casual places where maybe they don't even have a big dining room table. It is sort of a get your food and sit wherever you want, in which case, fine, just be careful. But if there is an organized, like a designated table, then I would think it stays at that table.
Okay. Bullshit. Eat in the kitchen or dining room. Don't wander off and keep the drinks where they're hardwood floors.
Gosh,
no couches and carpets. None.
Yes.
Okay. The TV's on, but it's not something you would be watching. Is it safe to turn the channel on the TV to the football game?
Is anybody watching at the time?
It doesn't matter. You're just a stranger in this house, and you've got the clicker, and the clicker could turn channels. Do you do it?
If I'm a stranger in someone's house, I don't touch the clicker.
Yeah, ask permission, bitches.
Yeah.
Like, you do not touch anybody else's thing, ever.
Oh, God, that's
no shoes,
so weird.
No eat or drinking outside the kitchen or dining room. No clickering.
Yeah.
All right, what about smokers? Is it appropriate to go outside and hoof it up and no ashtrays, flicking butts? Do you do that? Or would you do that?
I would say I've never smoked, so I would not do that. I would hope somebody wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I mean, 100% go outside if you're going to smoke. And you got to fashion something. You can't just like throw it in their yard or something. That's rude and gross.
All right, toilet deposit. Where you threaten maybe the toilet backup. Are you looking for plungers before you do the deed? Or are you panicking after you've stopped up Mr. Toilet? You're in enemy territory here. And you do not want to be running out saying, I stopped up your toilet and it's spreading all over the bathroom floor.
I guess you should locate this first.
Ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yes, and turkey dinners are historically quick depositors into said toilet. So if you're watching the game and you ate a couple hours ago, there's chances that you're going to be redepositing the dinner into the toilet is pretty high.
How about if it's a house that has multiple bathrooms? Do you make sure you go to the bathroom that is furthest away?
For sure.
But what if that is like, so what if there's, okay, let's say it's a 2-story home.
Yeah.
You are a guest, you've never been there, you don't know these people very well. The main floor where everybody's eating is close to a bathroom. You don't want to go there, but the other bathroom is maybe up by their bedroom.
No, second floor is off limits to anybody that's not immediate family. So you don't venture into.
That would be weird.
Now, if you go to the basement and you hover over the drainage pipe, that would be acceptable because the basement is sort of for the animals. The first floor is for company, and the second floor is for family.
Animal hovering over the
so
drainage pipe.
You don't know whether or not you're family or friends, you're in the basement.
You would go to the basement and
hover the toilet, yeah. Hover a toilet or a drainage pipe, one of the two.
Okay.
That's for you.
That's for me.
Not you specifically, but if you're not one of those other two groups, you're animal level.
Would you? So you would do the basement before the first story bathroom?
Well, if the first floor is already assumed that you're gonna have company like doing that, so they'll probably already, spray sanitizer and have the plunger ready.
Some poopery spray
yes,
in there.
but if that one's taken, let's just say Aunt Marge is already occupied and she's going to be at least 20 minutes plus, then you're in the basement, and that one is more expendable because it's probably concrete anyway. And
maybe you should just be like, you know what? Are we out of ice? We need some more ice. I'm going to run to the gas station and get ice.
Go elsewhere. Absolutely, that is your best bet. Is to just go to the Dollar General or a gas station and unload there.
Gosh. I've not considered that before.
Okay, so we got smoking, shoes, we got where to eat, where to poop. What are other situations that Thanksgivingers might find themselves in?
Do you bring a date? Like if you started dating someone recently and it's a family event, do you need to tell somebody ahead of time I'm bringing a guest or just...
No, there's no Thanksgiving dinner that had a lack of food. So food requirements are not an issue. And I think that if you bring a date, it puts the proper family pressure on the date to really bring out the best/worst in that person. You can find a lot about your significant other when you put them in the pressure cooker that is Thanksgiving.
Yeah?
It's a good thing.
So you don't have to give the host a heads up that you're bringing someone.
No, eat more food, the better.
And then are you into, when it comes to family members bringing dates, are you okay with just anybody can bring anybody? It's somebody you know, bring them. Or do you think that should be reserved for a serious relationship? Like,
no, anybody. As long as they take off their shoes, they don't
they
bring
don't use
food.
the bathroom.
No bathroom.
That's by the dining room.
And they can handle the political banter without flipping out. Like, they're fine.
Interesting.
They follow the rules, you're good.
Have you had someone break multiple of these rules?
All the time. And I will go around and hang signs up as people are doing it. As a reminder, take off your shoes, and I'll plaster it right on the wall in hopes that those people, like, I'll make the confrontation happen. And I'll say, hey, dude, I had one guy one time. Hey, you need to take your shoes off after you get off of this area right here. They're like, oh, I got bad feet, right? I don't care. Go step on the carpet after your shoes are off and go watch TV. Get off your feet a little bit. And so, like, everybody's going to have sort of their reason why the rules don't apply to them. But my rules are like Soviet Union style rules. They do not have asterisks on them.
So maybe you should, if you're hosting, you should maybe, when you invite people, say, here's a list of rules, by the way.
I do.
And if you cannot...
don't come.
If you can't follow, don't show up. If you have bad feet and you need padding, bring slippers, bring something.
Make your own accommodations because your host will only go so far. I will provide the food. I will provide the warmth and a show that you might not even like to watch, but there'll be a show on the television. And you will have a pooper, whether it be in the basement or on the first floor. There will be one.
I don't know why I find the basement hovering over
the drain pipe, because it's totally illegal. Like, you do not want to put poop in the drain pipe. So don't try that at home, guys. You could just hover the normal toilet. But it's funny anyhow.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Okay. Have you been to a Thanksgiving where maybe you're not hosting, you're the guest, and everyone there is just breaking the rules? And do you follow the rules and just feel like you're better than everyone?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like no one's taking shoes off.
I look
Everyone's
around to
talking politics.
see. I look around and wait for the host to make their move to enforce the rules. I still apply them to myself because I'm a good visitor, but I'll watch to see how strict they get with them, and I'll be impressed when they start like throwing some bodies because of breaking the rules, and they never do. Like really, hosts are very polite, and so the sign on the wall, their sign, doesn't matter as much as my sign, where I make people adhere to them.
And you like legit kick someone out?
Would I never? It's usually repeating the rules to them is enough to embarrass them to do the thing, even if they got like boils on their feet, they're taking their shoes off. And if they just was eating some pumpkin pie on my couch, they move over to. It's always they've always accommodated the rules.
You never had to kick anyone out?
I don't think so. I'm willing though.
You would?
Don't test me on the rules, because there are other. I have a feeling we got probably about 80% of the people celebrate Thanksgiving. If you don't like my rules, you can go right across the street and ask them if you can come to theirs. And I bet you to get in the front door, you're going to have to obey their rules.
Yeah.
And if you can't, or they won't let you in, you should have just freaking followed my rules and you would have been eating turkey by now.
What about if they're kids? Like, how are you with people bringing their kids that are just loud and running around and making messes?
We have a anarchy room where we make it ready for kids to do whatever it is that they're going to do.
I like that, the anarchy
They're
room.
not allowed to be in any non-anarchy rooms. And so, like, the only thing, like, nobody's ever drawn on the wall, and there's enough distractions to kind of keep them busy so they're not the little demons that they really are. And it's all worked out. But if let's just say it elevated, where, you know, Bob Smith brought his kid over and his kid just trashed the room and whatever. Well, Bob Smith and his kid will be the last to leave as they clean up whatever deviant behavior their kid had done. So it's just part of the gig. You know it as a parent that you're responsible for your kid's actions. And I got freaking cameras. Like you can't say that my kid didn't draw on your Galaga game.
Yeah.
Right? I got footage.
See, my problem is I have no spine, and I would sit there probably, and I could see myself if somebody came over, I could be like, yeah, go ahead, you guys can leave your shoes here, whatever. You'll casually give the hint of take them off and leave them here. And if they just walked in, I'd be like, and maybe let it go. Or kids are running around doing stuff, and I'm just like,
well, do you go passive aggressive at least? Like somebody doesn't take off their shoes when you ask them very nicely, and they walk into your living room and they've got like flies buzzing around their feet where their dog shit that was embedded in the soles of their shoes, and you're like, hey, let me share this with you. The CDC shared that there's 90% of everybody who walks in a house with shoes brings in salmonella and has killed 536,000 people this last year. Do you want to be responsible for killing all the children in this house? And then see if maybe a little guilt will make them take off of their shoes.
Well, what I would probably do is I would make it, I would turn it around to make it that I was the weird one. I'm sorry, I'm anal. Could you take your shoes off because I'm weird? Because I'm like, I would make it seem like it's my fault, even though it's not. You know, like, oh, could you not have your kid? Yeah, I actually just cleaned that. If they could go and sit at the table, because I'm sorry, I'm anal. I'm so OCD. Like, I would be so apologetic instead of like, why do you not know that you need to stop your kid from doing that?
Here's my recommendation for Thanksgiving. I don't think we should couple lying with Thanksgiving. We should be thankful that we can tell the people that we care about truthful things.
Yeah.
And just tell them when your kid's a shitbag and he's ruining things. Just say those things. I mean,
say your kid's a shitbag.
Your kid's a shit. Practice it.
Oh my gosh.
Your kid
is
a shitbag.
Is a shitbag.
And he's ruining my things.
Ruining everything.
And I'm not asking that he not ruin my things. I am telling you that he needs to stop ruining my things. You didn't practice that last part. You're not going to do it, are you? You're like, I'm so anal, you know. I get really distracted when my prized possessions are in flames.
There was one time I did have someone over one time, and their kid was throwing it was like a little ball or something he was playing with in the living room. And I actually said to the kid, I said, hey, We're not throwing the ball around anymore because everybody was for a minute. And I said, hey, it's getting too risky. I don't want anything to break. We're not doing that anymore. And then he did it again. And I think I was like, do you see that? That's expensive. If you break it, I'm going to murder you. Like,
that's
that
actually
costs
pretty good.
more than you do. Stop throwing the ball.
Yeah, you got it. This is the Kelin that needs to come out at Thanksgiving.
It does.
Peace and love and the really thin veiled threat.
Peace and love. Listen, I love you, but I will murder you during the holidays.
That works. Totally works.
Peace and love and murder.
So kids jumping. Okay, so your kid has his shoes. The kid has his shoes on, holding pumpkin pies, jumping on the sofa, throwing a ball near your flat screen TV. Give me the
pretty much that was, other than the shoes, that was the scenario.
Go
basically.
Ahead. Oh, but that was your response. Okay, that was a.
I think at first I'm like, hey guys, let's not get down. And then if it happens again, it's like, we're not doing this.
So you negotiate right with the kid, or you do it through the parents?
I say it sort of an all-encompassing, like, parents are there, we're all talking, everyone's around, and I'll say, hey, let's not jump on the couch. And typically the parent will be like, get off, don't do that. But typically the parent will then act. But if not,
a nice strategy would be go right to Bill Smith and say, your shitbag kid is jumping on my couch. Can you get him to stop? And that way you can proxy it through the accountability and the authority of the parent.
So
and then the kid hears it.
You would do that first?
I don't know. Like I'm just throwing out strategies. Like you can go the passive route, like we're not doing that anymore. And hopefully there's a response to that.
Yeah.
But if the kid just eyeballs you and said, you're not my dad, right?
Yeah.
You're not my mom. Then you might have been better off going through the authority figure and embarrassing the little shitbag in front of their parents. And then the parents would be obligated and the kid would already be humiliated. So that might give you a better chance.
Yeah. Chances are, I feel like if the kid's being a real shitbag, like there's a difference between just being a little kid and typically you say anything at all, the parents are on it. But if the kid is a real shitbag and you have to say it more than once, then I probably don't care if I upset the parents at this point. Like, you're probably not that close to us, because if you were, you would have hopped on that before or
before
the first
you even
time.
mentioned it. You would have noticed that your little shitbag was destroying property and shut that shit down.
You would know that I don't want my house wrecked and your little shitbag's doing something that's going to wreck my house and I'm starting to sweat. And so
so you basically have two trains of thought. You have the Soviet Joe's place where everybody feels the pressure and knowing what they can and can't do. So they're really safe and they feel that pressure and it's not as comfortable. And then you have the no rules anarchy where everything, and you have to go around taking your big offenders and playing psyops against them to not destroy your shit. And in the end, like, just not having people over is sometimes the best choice.
Yeah.
Right? 0% chance of damage when it's just me eating my own turkey neck, right?
Yeah.
Other people you invite in, they bring all of their problems with them.
I'm guessing if you had it your way, all holidays would be alone.
Yes. Maybe the occasional FaceTime if you wanted to bring somebody in that you cared about.
Interaction.
Yeah.
You're not big on like traveling to see family for holidays or having family over.
But in neutral territory. So if you meet somebody at a restaurant, then like, I don't care.
Oh, right? Yeah. You could do that.
Yeah. Go to the local Holiday Inn and get their Thanksgiving dinner and meet them there and eat the stuff. And you don't have to do anything.
Then you don't have to enforce any rules.
No rules. But your castle has rules. It has to. Like, it's not your castle if there aren't any rules.
Yeah. How do you feel about pets? If you are if you're either hosting or you're a guest. If you're a host, should you keep your pet locked up? If you're a guest, should you mind if there's a pet or not? Should you be willing to be cool if there are pets running around? Do you not want pets running around? How are you when it comes to pets?
That's a negotiation.
Okay.
So, like, your service animal is going to stay in the car as far as I'm concerned, especially if somebody has like allergies or they're not real fond of pets or whatever. You can do without it for one meal and then go, join your service animal or your support animal as quick as you
No,
can.
I mean, the pet lives where you are.
So if there's a pet there, then you also have to be accommodating. Like when you send your stuff out, this is an area that if you have any allergies, be aware of that, because I've got a dog that has triple coats of fur and it's going to be everywhere. But I don't have it running around.
Yeah.
It's confusing for the animal, and it could be a little oppressive for the people that are trying to enjoy their turkey when they're fighting with a dog for the bone.
Yeah.
So
or
you keep it locked up.
Even the owner. I mean, you have people, we've had pets in the past where we've specifically said, our dog doesn't do people food. Please don't give the dog any people food. And then they think it's cute to steal. And it's like,
yeah, I bet you they're wearing their shoes, dumping on the third floor, right, and talking politics while they're feeding your dog bones that'll probably kill them. Yeah, I know. People are great that way.
The holidays are awesome.
But that's why we set up these rules, so you can start contemplating those situations before they happen. And then you can either take your passive-aggressive approach, or you can take my Stalin-like approach and figure out how you want to tangle with the people that are showing up.
This kind of validating, though, because when we first built our house that we're in now, again, I was even more anal because everything was new. New carpeting, new floors, new everything. I want to keep it nice. And of course, it was just built, so there's not a lot of grass. There's a lot of mud, which makes it even scarier. So of course, take shoes off and everything. And we had a family member that was coming to visit from out of state and wanted to come by. They were staying somewhere else. They weren't staying with us, but they were coming to our house and wanted to bring their dog. Mm-hmm. And we said, I don't want your dog here. No offense, but there's nothing but mud outside. There's no way your dog's not going to track something in here. God forbid your dog has an accident in my brand new carpeting. And they obliged, but there was this tension that they had to travel all this way and they couldn't just bring their little dog and it would be fine and blah, blah, blah.
You can give them local kennels that would take care of their dog, because their dog is ultimately their responsibility, just like their kid is their responsibility. If that kid threw the ball, hit your TV, who's paying for it? Are you just going to be like, oh, that's okay, we're going to get a TV anyway?
Yeah.
Or be like, Tom ruined something, you're buying me a new TV. Dogs are the same responsibility. But owners kind of like keep distance between the damage that their dogs create and the headache and, the extra pressures when they're not necessary there. So put them in a cage for the couple hours they're going to be eating dinner, and then you can go fetch them after dinner. Mm-hmm. And then you won't have inconvenienced anybody who's trying to enjoy themselves with the thanks of holiday.
If only people had this common sense.
But this is why, okay, so you saying not bringing up politics during Thanksgiving is the reason why we're bad at talking about things. And we have to use passive aggressiveness. If everybody just be honest and say, hey, I really love my dog and I'm not going anywhere without them. And I say, I don't want dogs in my house. And you're like, okay, well, I'm not coming to your house. And we're like, okay, agreement made, right? You come to conclusions and don't put these passive aggressive situations where you permitted a dog that you didn't want. And then the other person's like, why are they, putting pressures on my dog not to enjoy themselves by eating chicken or turkey legs?
Yeah.
Right? You avoid all of that. Just truth and honesty. That's all you need.
I think though, but some people don't see it so cut and dry. Like it could be like, I don't want you to bring your pet or your shitbag kid or somebody. And the other person's like, well, I'm not coming without it.
That's fine.
And then you could say, well, have a good holiday.
That's it.
Maybe we'll see you at the next. But that's not what happens. It's now there's anger and resentment and
hold on.
Arguing.
There are 340 million people in this country. Arguing and resenting over one person means that they slide out and a new person slides in. You have choices here. So if some douchebag wants to predicate their friendship with you based on whether or not they can bring their dog, there might be 100 million people who will hang out with you and they don't have to have their dog, even if they really want to. So get rid of the douchebags and make way for the people who aren't douchebags. That's the real moral of the story.
Maybe that needs to be everyone's sort of New Year's resolution is take this holiday season. You've got a lot of topics right now that are iffy, so let's see how people handle themselves and weed out any of the people that you were like, you know what? You, Not coming with me next year.
Yeah, and do like the airlines, right? So they got 100 seats on their plane. They overbook it by 20, knowing that 20 people aren't going to get on the plane anyway. And, you know, somebody's a no-show, they still have full occupancy. And if everybody shows up, then they give people vouchers and everybody's made happy. So if you're Thanksgiving, you've got 20 place settings. Invite 25 people. And then when you start circulating what to expect at my dinner and you alienate 5 of them, it's part of it. Oversell Thanksgiving. That's the way to do it. Then you're not hung up on one person not making the day. You got 5 people on the waiting list that are ready to sit at that place.
See, but I, 1, don't like confrontation, and
Okay.
2, can't just say, oh, well, they're unhappy. Okay, bye. We'll just replace you with another person.
Well, you don't have to have confrontation. The only way you get confrontation, if you ask a question that there really isn't a second answer to. If you're like, you are taking off your shoes, you're not like, okay, so mine is, you're taking off your shoes. There's one option, right?
Yeah.
There's not a confrontation because it wasn't a yes or no question, right?
Yeah.
Now, if passive-aggressive girl, not Kelin, walks up and says, hey, would you mind taking off your shoes? That is inviting 2 answers. That's inviting 2 answers. If one is yes, which that's the one you want, they took off their shoes. No, I got bunions on my feet, right? And now you have confrontation because you invited the bunion conversation in when I would have not had it. I don't care about bunions or smelly feet or I've got bad soul. I don't care, right? It's a yay or nay.
I'll be honest. I
Yeah.
don't know what would bother me more, though. Shoes on or someone's gross, nasty feet.
As the owner of the castle, you get to decide that. You get to say whether or not you can put a little asterisk and say shoes off and lets you have leaking bunions. Then I'll
Oh,
take the
God.
shoes on in place of
Yeah.
the shoes.
Like, if your feet are real bad to the point that we're all going to sit here and smell this during dinner, by all means, I will clean the floor when you leave from your muddy
yeah,
shoes.
you can have an
before
option
I
where you can have
that.
a shoe cleaning station that sanitizes the bottom of your soles. And then so bunion person can just clean their shoes and then
Could you-
everybody's happy.
You get those wraps, like people that come into your
Yes.
home that go over your shoes.
See, we are solving problems, and they don't cost a whole lot. You can get a 100-pack for $10, and they put the little booties
Yeah,
on.
put those booties on.
You solve some problems here.
Why don't you have those at your house?
No, because I like the conformity. I like to show that my stubborn.
You're like, I really don't mind dirt in the house. I like controlling people.
100%.
That's what it is.
100%. While you're shitting in the basement, booties on your feet, not talking politics.
Do you also make them get in line like the soup Nazi, like plate, sit?
No, once we get to food, I kind of sit back and watch the primal version of people, knowing that they've got to, like, if they like the neck, there's only one neck, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, there's equal amount dark meat and light meat. There's plenty of mashed potatoes, but there's some things that are in short supply. And I kind of like it when we get to the point where Uncle Tom and Uncle Bob, they both like the neck. And it might come down to fisticuffs when it comes down to it.
What about going back for seconds before everyone else has had their first?
Oh, I don't mind.
You don't care?
I don't care.
Okay.
Remember, Thanksgiving always has more leftovers than any other place. There's not a lack
Yeah.
of food. So if you want to go for your 5th deal, like we wrote the conduct based on what we thought we should do. So that's how we hold ourselves accountable to. So we don't feel like we're over consuming or going beyond the bounds of what's, expected. But from a host standpoint, eat that shit away. Like I can only have so many turkey sandwiches in a row.
Yes.
Eat it up.
Especially like I take Thanksgiving and I don't let myself feel guilty. It's one day, I'm going to have carbs, I'm going to have dessert, I'm going to do whatever. It's one meal of one day. Enjoy it. But if there's a lot left, it becomes another meal into another day. Because I'm going to not eat it? Nope. I'm going to eat it. So
Make America
get it
healthy
out of
again.
here. Yeah.
Turkey sandwiches on day 9.
Let's just have like McDonald's come in for
Well, just set a
Thanksgiving.
date where you have, so many days to go through the rest of the leftovers, and after the first day, then you have to have a healthy version of it. So if you just have white meat with no gravy, and you can still go through the leftovers without having a bad version of it.
But if pie is left over.
Okay, so while you've got 20 people in your house and you've got pie, and you know you don't need any more pie, you say something to the effect of, let me put together a plate of leftovers for you, and they leave with the pie, and then it leaves you, and then you don't have that option.
Oh my God, I feel like that's a whole other issue too. How many times have you been somewhere or you've hosted or whatever, and there's like the fight over, here you go, take these. I don't want to take it. Just
That's
take them.
politeness.
I don't want to take
that.
Take them.
That's politeness, and you don't ask the question. Like every time you play that passive move, I'm going to put together a plate of leftovers for you. Isn't like, can I put a plate together of leftovers for you? Don't ask it. Just tell it. It's almost
like, I don't care if you put this in the trash can once you walk out the door, you're taking it.
Or don't even say it. Don't even do the lead up to it. Here's your plate of leftovers. Get out, right?
Yeah.
Then there's no yes or no.
That brings up another weird. Speaking of weird food habits, is it weird if you have like a potluck? Let's say there's an event or there's a small meeting or group or something, and everybody brings something, and whatever you brought does not get finished. Is it weird to take it home with you, or do you leave it?
You made it?
Yeah. You made it. You brought it.
Yes, you take your shit home.
There's a bunch left. Do you take it, or do you leave it
no,
for the
first
host?
off, I don't eat food that's prepared by someone other than me. I've watched some of these crazy cat people.
I was just going to say, because the cats are walking on the counter.
Yeah, they don't prepare food the way that I would. And so
maybe they don't wash their hands or pull their hair up.
I'm suspicious of everything brought. Besides, like, I would say, is there any safe potluck stuff? Like, even cookies, like, I wouldn't do.
Maybe, like, if they're store-bought cookies?
Maybe store-bought, because there's at least a level of standard.
I don't know. If it looks good enough, I'll eat it, and I don't even care. Don't even tell me.
The answer to your question is yes, you take your own shit home, and number 2, don't eat from a potluck, because you just don't know what the cooker did or how it was cooked.
I don't know why I feel weird. Like, I feel like I'm taking a gift I brought back. Is that weird? I don't know.
Yes, it's very weird.
Clearly, it's not like the party's not over and I'm taking it. Like, maybe that would be weird.
You are too guilt-ridden. Just take your shit back.
Why do I second guess everything?
No, don't. Nobody even cares. There's not a single person. Did you see Kelin? Like, she had that chili she brought
it, and then they left with it.
Back.
Which is also because if I were a host, I want you to take your stuff. I don't want your stuff
here.
here.
So it's a potluck. It's territory that nobody owns. If you leave it there, who the fuck takes it? Like, what is it? What happens
and
to it?
And then your host is like, I got to throw this out.
Yes,
it's extra cleanup
nobody
for
cares.
me. I know. So
you are saving someone from having to dispose of it, or like, hey, Kelin, she just left all her shit here. Like, now I got extra work to do. Like, you're saving someone from that moment.
It's not weird.
Not at all.
Okay, that's good.